Hey everyone, welcome back to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating: the intersection between the natural stages of our human life cycle and personalized nutrition. We'll be looking closely at the insights of Professor Ahmad Sattin to see exactly how we can balance our biological realities with what we put on our plates every single day. Let's start with a really empowering principle from Professor Sattin's work. He brings up this idea that God has not sent down a disease except that he has also sent down its cure. Now look, the aging process, growing older, senescence, that's a cosmic law. None of us are escaping that. But diseases, that's a totally different story. We are actively meant to seek out solutions for illness because, well, those solutions are already out there waiting for us. But that naturally begs the question, right? How do we actually find the right cure or the right diet for our uniquely specific bodies? How do we take this ancient wisdom and turn it into practical, everyday choices that we actually control? So let's break this down. Part 1, the journey of life. To figure out how to find that right cure, we've got to understand the timeline of our biology. Think of the human body like a masterfully built machine. We kick off as a single cell at conception, and then we go through this massive growth phase during childhood. By the time we hit peak youth, man, our cellular energy centers are just firing on all cylinders. But inevitably, we reach that fourth stage, senescence, or aging. Those cells naturally start to slow down and lose their functional capacity. It's just an unstoppable progression of life. Which brings us to part 2, disease and gene expression. Okay, so if we can't stop time, we need to focus on what we can control. Professor Sattin points out that when our cells stop doing their jobs, it usually boils down to 5 specific triggers. We're talking genetics, environmental factors, malnutrition, everyday toxins, and, looking at it from a spiritual lens, divine wisdom or life trials. Getting a handle on these 5 triggers, that's really your first step to taking back control of your health. And that brings us to a real game changer of a concept, bioindividuality. Basically, because your genetic makeup is so incredibly unique, there's absolutely no such thing as a one-size-fits-all diet. Seriously, a completely natural plant-based meal that works like magic for me might actually trigger a severe allergic reaction in you. It's crazy, but your environment and the food you eat literally interact with your specific genes. All right, part 3, individual nutrition and moderation. Because we're all so wonderfully different, fueling our bodies requires a super personalized approach. But there is one universal rule holding it all together, and it's a core Quranic principle noted by Professor Sattin: eat and drink, but be not excessive. This is basically the ultimate rule of holistic health, and the text makes such a fascinating point here. Even completely natural, perfectly healthy foods can turn around and cause disease if you just eat too much of them. Moderation is key. Because, guys, there is a serious metabolic cost to excess. When we throw moderation out the window, especially by going overboard on sugars and processed carbs, we set off this terrifying cascade of health issues. It's this exact lack of restraint that paves the way for things like obesity, insulin resistance, fatty liver, and really dangerous cardiovascular diseases. And moderation isn't just about the scale. It's this microscopic, high-stakes balancing act inside your body. You need a highly precise balance of vital minerals just to keep things running smoothly. So if you load up on sodium but skimp on potassium, or if your calcium and magnesium get completely out of whack, you're directly messing with your blood pressure, your muscle function, and your heart. Moderation is literally what keeps those tiny internal scales tipped in your favor. Moving on to part 4, man is his own doctor. So, with all this going on, whose job is it to track all these balances and reactions? Well, Professor Sattin's philosophy is pretty empowering. It's your job. You have to become a detective for your own body. Step 1, you eat. Step 2, you carefully monitor. Does that seasonal fruit, a certain grain, dairy, or peanuts give you sudden joint pain? Do you feel unusually tired or short of breath afterward? Step 3, adjust your diet. Your body is incredibly smart, so you really need to start listening to the signals it's sending you. Now let's look at part 5, the risks of processed foods. While listening to your body is crucial, let's be real. There are some modern hazards out there that will aggressively wreck anyone's biological balance, no matter what your genes are. There is a massive night and day difference between natural, fresh foods that actually nourish you and the highly processed stuff. Professor Sattin specifically calls out fast foods and heavily reused frying oils. Why? Because they create high levels of oxidation, pump trans fats right into your system, and just ignite rampant internal inflammation. They're practically engineered to destroy your cellular efficiency. Okay, so what if we've already messed up?
If we've built up all this information from poor choices or our systems are just totally overwhelmed, how do we fix it? Is there some kind of built-in natural reset button for our metabolism and digestion?
That brings us to part 6, fasting as comprehensive balance. And the answer from the text is a resounding yes. Fasting is that ultimate biological reset button. And look, it's not just about starving yourself. It's a highly functional, completely necessary break for the machine that is your body. Implementing a regular fasting schedule, maybe a couple of days a week or a few days a month, physically forces us to curb that modern habit of excess. It kicks your metabolism into a more efficient gear. And, critically, it gives your overworked digestive system the vacation it desperately needs to repair itself. So, let's pull all this incredible insight together. According to Professor Seton, lifelong wellness basically rests on these 6 core pillars. 1. Practice strict moderation. 2. Actively avoid excess in everything. 3. Choose natural, unprocessed foods whenever you can. 4. Act as your own doctor by carefully watching how your body reacts. 5. Use fasting to reset your system. And finally, 6. Maintain a spirit of gratitude for the health and vitality you do have. I want to leave you with a quick thought to chew on, pun intended. Think about your own bio-individuality and the little signals your body has been sending you lately. What is one food you eat every single day that might be quietly disrupting your unique cellular energy? I challenge you, apply that man is his own doctor philosophy to your very next meal. Start paying attention, start making those small adjustments, and take control of your holistic wellness today.